Hello everyone, welcome to our Graphing Linear Functions unit. For this lesson you're going to need something to write with, and you're going to need a ruler. So if you don't have a ruler with you, go ahead and stop the video and go and get yourself a ruler. Okay, to review, we learned last unit that a linear function is a graph that makes a straight line, and that x is always to the first power. So there would be no exponent on the x in the equation. We also learned that the slope in a linear function is always the same. And in this unit we're going to be making use of a point and a slope to graph the line. First, we need to learn a couple of important vocabulary words. An x-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. And the coordinates of the x-intercept are always written as a number and 0. And or we would say x equals a number for the x-intercept. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis, and it's written as, the coordinates of the y-intercept are written as 0 and a number. Or we can say for the y-intercept, y equals a number. Let me give you a little visual of this over here. Here's our x-axis and our y-axis. If we have this line, the x-intercept is this point here where the graph crosses the x-axis. And the coordinates of this point are going to be the x-coordinate and 0 for the y-coordinate. So the y-coordinate of the x-intercept is always 0. So this is an x-intercept right here. The y-intercept would be where this line crosses the y-axis. Its coordinates would be 0 and the y-coordinate. So notice that the x-coordinate of the y-intercept is always 0. So this we would call our y-intercept. It just gives you a little visual of what that looks like. Okay, let's go on to graphing some lines. The first lines we're going to start with are our special cases where we have a slope of 0 or an undefined slope. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to graph the point that they give us, and then we're going to use the slope to graph the rest of the line. So here's our x-axis and our y-axis. We're going to graph the point 3, 4. So the x-coordinate is 3, the y-coordinate is 0. So over to 3 and then up to 4. Now we're told that the slope is 0. What kind of line has a slope of 0? Well, we learned in our last unit that that would be a horizontal line that has a slope of 0. Remember, a horizontal line is flat like this. So that we know that we're going to have a line through this point that's horizontal. So we just graph a horizontal line through the point. And now we want to write the equation of that line. Remember, we said on a horizontal line the y-coordinate is always staying the same. So the equation of this line would be y equals 4. Okay, let's go on to graphing a line with an undefined slope. Again, first we're going to graph the point 3, 4. This is the same point that we just graphed. This time our line has an undefined slope, so we know that this is a vertical line, one that goes straight up and down. So we're going to draw a line that goes straight up and down through this point. And we know that along this line, the x-coordinate is always the same. The x-coordinate of every point on this line is going to be 3. So the equation of the line is x equals 3. Okay, let's go on. So if we are given a point and a slope, how do we graph the line? So these are the steps that we're going to use. First, we're going to find the given point on the graph. So we're given the point negative 5, 3. We're going to find that point on the graph. So negative 5, 3. So here's that point. Then we're going to use the slope. Remember, slope is rise over run, to make more points. We want to make at least 3 to 5 more points. Then we're going to connect the points to make a straight line. Remember, a line can have either a positive or a negative slope. So if our slope is positive, we're going to go up and right or down and left. So let's look at our slope. Our slope is positive. So let's find another point on this line by starting at the point that was given us. And our rise is 3 and our run is 2. So that means we're going to go up 3 and to the right 2. And let's go ahead and do that again. Starting at the second point that we found, we go up 3 and to the right 2. Remember, always rise before run. You have to rise before you can run. Okay, now let's try going in the other direction. We can either go up and right, or we can reverse both of those directions and go down and left. So down 3 and to the left 2. Notice how that also makes a line with a positive slope. Down 3 and to the left 2. And now we'll draw a line between those points. We'll extend the line beyond those points and put arrows on it just to show that that line can keep going and going in both of those directions. Okay, so again, if we're doing a positive slope, we can go up and right, or we can go down and left. Now let's graph a line that has a negative slope. For a negative slope, we can either go down and right, or we can go up and left. Okay, so we start by graphing the point that they've given us. Negative 1, 4. Those are x and y axis. Our slope is our rise over our run. So we put our pen on the point that they've given us. And for a negative slope, we can either go down 2 and to the right 3. We'll do that a couple of times. Down 2 and to the right 3. Or notice that if we went up 2 and to the left 3, if we reversed both of those directions, up 2 and to the left 3, if we reverse both of those directions, it also gives us a line with a negative slope. So now we'll graph a line in between these points. Okay, on this one we have the point 2, 3 and a slope of 2. So go ahead and graph the point 2, 3 on your own. Here's the point 2, 3. Now it says that we have a slope of 2. In order to graph a slope, we need a rise over a run. So we have to make this 2 into a fraction. So what number can we put on the bottom of the 2 to make it into a fraction? Well, we would put a 1. So that means our rise is 2 and our run is 1. So for a positive slope, we can go up and right, or we can go down and left, down and left, down and left. So notice we went up 2 and to the right 1. We also could go down 2 and to the left 1. And here's our line. The last type of line we're going to learn to graph today is when we're given an equation in slope-intercept form. This equation right here is in slope-intercept form. We call it slope-intercept form because it helps us to identify our slope and our y-intercept. The m is always the slope. The b, and notice that I circled the operation sign before the b, that is a part of the y-intercept. The b is always our y-intercept. So let's look at this equation here. Our slope is going to be 1/2. So our slope is 1/2, and our y-intercept is going to be -4. So these are the steps we need to use to graph it. The first thing we're going to do is plot the y-intercept. Remember that a y-intercept is a point on the y-axis. So we're going to go on our y-axis and we're going to go to -4 on the y-axis. So here's -4 on the y-axis. Now we have a point and we can use our slope to find other points on the line. We have a positive slope, so we're going to go up 1 and to the right 2. Up 1 and to the right 2. What other direction could we go? You pause the video and continue the line in the other direction. Okay, let's see how you did. We could go up 1 and right 2, or we could go down 1 and left 2. Down 1 and left 2. And this is what your line would look like. After you graph your line, always check to make sure that it has the slope that it should. We have a positive slope, so our line should be slanting uphill. So yes, this line is graphed correctly. Okay, on your own, I'd like you to identify your slope and your y-intercept in this equation. So pause the video, then after you've identified your slope and y-intercept, turn it back on. Okay, our slope is the number in front of x. So our slope is -3/4. Our y-intercept is the constant, or the number that has no variable with it, and that's a +2. So our y-intercept is 2. Okay, I'd like you to graph this line on your own. Start by graphing the y-intercept on the y-axis, then use your slope to find other points on the line. Okay, so we need to graph a y-intercept of 2. A y-intercept is on the y-axis, so we go to 2 on the y-axis and we put a point. Our line has a negative slope, so that means our rise should be -3 and our run should be +4. So we'll go down 3 and to the right 4. Down 3 and to the right 4. We could also reverse those directions and go up 3 and to the left 4. Up 3 and to the left 4. And there's our line. Okay, this equation looks a little bit different. How do we identify our slope and our y-intercept in this equation? Well, first of all, we know that if there's no number in front of x, that we can write a 1. If we add 0 to x, then then we are keeping the equation the same. So we've put two things into the equation, but we haven't changed it at all. So our slope is going to be the number in front of x. So our slope is going to be 1, and we need to write our slope as a fraction so that we have a rise over a run, so we'll put a 1 on the bottom. Our y-intercept is going to be 0. So now we're going to start by graphing the y-intercept. You go ahead and graph this line on your own, and then press play when you're ready to check your work. So your y-intercept should have been graphed at 0 on the y-axis, right here in the center of the graph. Our slope is 1 over 1, so that means we'll go up 1 and to the right 1. Up 1 and to the right 1. We could also go down 1 and left 1. Down 1 and left 1. So let's check ourselves. Does this make a line with a positive slope? Yes, it does, because our line is slanting uphill. Let's check this one over here. Our slope was supposed to be negative. So do we have a line with a negative slope? Yes, we do, because this line is slanting downhill. Okay, that's all for today. This is part 1 of graphing linear functions. Later on this week, we'll be doing part 2.